Hello everyone, and welcome to Earth Archives. So what do you do when you really feel like there's no one around you to rely on? That kind of loneliness isn't just a passing emotion, it's there every day when you wake up. It feels like no matter how hard you try, no one truly has your back. Sometimes I even wonder if life is worth continuing. Before you start answering, a quick reminder for anyone listening. If you want, give us a like, subscribe, or share this with someone you think might need to hear this.
Just asking that question is already incredibly brave. Because most people aren't truly without support. They're just afraid to admit it. There's a type of pain that doesn't make you cry or explode, doesn't make you break down immediately. It's quiet, but heavy, like an invisible stone pressing on your chest. You go to work, you laugh with people, but when the night comes and everything is silent, you know clearly that one thought keeps repeating in your mind. If I fall, no one will catch me. This isn't weakness. It's the kind of loneliness only someone highly self-aware can feel.
But the paradox is, I'm not completely alone. I have family, colleagues, friends I can chat with. Yet somehow the feeling of loneliness is still so strong that I start to wonder if I'm just weird.
You're not weird at all. In fact, this is very typical. True loneliness is never about having no one around. It's about not knowing if you can show the most authentic, vulnerable part of yourself. Many people spend their whole lives playing a role. Maybe the responsible one, the capable one, the reliable one, the emotional anchor for others. Over time, everyone gets used to you being strong, being fine, being able to handle things yourself. So when you actually need support, you don't know who to turn to, because you were never allowed to show weakness.
Hearing you say that makes me want to cry, because it really resonates. I feel like I've always been the one listening to others' problems, giving advice, but my own feelings don't really have space.
That's because you learned early on a crucial lesson. Trade being useful for being needed. You help others understand others, care for others, and that makes you safe in relationships. But the cost is that you gradually disappear as a person and become just a function. When you're tired, in pain, or at your limit, the world still expects that same role from you. The loneliness you feel then is especially deep, because suddenly you realize no one has ever really asked you, "Are you okay?"
So this loneliness isn't because I haven't tried hard enough to make friends?
Absolutely not. This is a deeper, existential kind of loneliness. Jung once said, roughly, when a person feels disconnected from the world, it's not that life has abandoned them. It's that life is guiding them back to themselves. When you feel like there's no one to rely on, it's actually life forcing you to build a relationship you've long neglected, but is the most important, the relationship with yourself. This isn't punishment, it's a turning point.
Honestly though, I don't really know how to rely on myself. It sounds ideal, but in reality, I don't even know where to start.
Then don't start with something grand. Don't tell yourself to be stronger, to think positively, to have endless energy. Those kinds of instructions can actually feel cruel to someone truly lonely. Just start with a small, real action. For example, when the world feels empty, say to yourself in your heart, "I know this is hard, but I'm here." It seems simple, but for someone used to neglecting themselves, it's a brand new signal. I am willing to stand by myself.
But I'm still afraid that even if I do this, the world won't respond, that no one will really understand me.
You just touched on a harsh, but also liberating, truth. Not every pain is going to be understood. But that doesn't mean it's worthless. True growth never starts because someone sees you. It starts because you're willing, even when no one is watching, not to give up on yourself. You might scroll through your phone, see other people's lives, so lively, so needed, and feel even more doubtful of yourself. But I want to tell you, that doesn't mean your life is failing. It means your soul is asking for a more authentic way of living.
And what if I've always been the one giving, and now I suddenly feel exhausted, even like I don't want to keep going? Is that selfish?
It's not selfish, it's honesty. Many people mistake holding on for maturity and not speaking up for consideration. But long-term self-neglect is actually chronic self-draining. You don't need to become someone who asks for help overnight. You only need to acknowledge one thing first: I also need care. The moment you admit that to yourself, you've already started growing upward.
Growing upward? That sounds kind of abstract.
By growing upward, I don't mean becoming more capable. I mean becoming more authentic. Like a tree, it first grows roots in unseen soil. Every small thing you do for yourself, writing down your feelings, taking a walk, reading a few pages, learning something you genuinely care about, may seem ordinary, but it tells your subconscious one thing: my life is worth being treated with care by me.
But sometimes that loneliness just surges unexpectedly, especially late at night.
That's because the night amplifies the feelings you didn't have time to process during the day. You don't need to rush to push the loneliness away. You can try to sit with it. Ask yourself, what do I need most right now? It might not be an answer, just a bit of gentleness. When you start treating yourself this way, you'll notice that loneliness slowly stops being an enemy. It becomes a signal reminding you to take care of yourself.
Hearing you say that for the first time, I feel maybe this loneliness isn't entirely a curse.
It never was. It's simply telling you that your life shouldn't only exist under other people's expectations. When you're willing to pause and take even a small bit of responsibility for yourself, you light a lamp in the darkness for your future self.
But sometimes I really wonder, if I try so hard to understand myself, to be there for myself, and still no one comes into my life, is all of this even worth it?
That's a very honest question. From childhood, we're taught that life's value comes from being needed, chosen, and remembered. So when you put in the effort and still feel lonely, that familiar voice creeps in. Am I still not enough? But here's the truth. Your true value doesn't depend on someone walking into your life. It starts with standing firmly for yourself. Only then does the world know how to approach you. What you're doing now isn't about being immediately understood. It's about paving a path for future genuine connections, without ever compromising yourself.
So are some people naturally more prone to loneliness?
Yes, and that's not a flaw. It's often a gift. People with deeper inner worlds aren't easily filled by superficial interactions. What you need is understanding, resonance, and authenticity, not just noise and busyness. The problem isn't that you're too lonely. It's that the depth you crave hasn't yet appeared in your life. This period of emptiness is painful, but it's also a crucial phase for maturing your personality and anchoring your soul.
So during this time, I just have to endure it alone?
Not endure, accompany. Enduring means you're fighting yourself. Accompanying means you're standing on your own side. You don't need to pretend to be strong or rush to get better. You just need, in every moment that feels empty, to choose not to abandon yourself. You can say, this is really hard right now, but I won't deny you like I used to. That kind of companionship slowly transforms into a steady inner strength.
But if I start putting myself first, won't I become isolated?
At first, maybe, because you're no longer giving unconditionally, over-accommodating, or pouring out all your energy for approval. Some people who are used to relying on you may feel unsettled, but that's not a bad thing. It means you're adjusting the balance in your relationships. Those who truly belong in your life will stay after you show your real self, not only when you're holding it together.
I think I'm starting to understand, but I'm still afraid that in the end, I'll really be all alone.
I understand that fear, but let me gently reframe it for you. It's not all alone. It's finally with yourself. When you truly become your own support, you're no longer so afraid of loneliness, because you know that even if the world falls quiet for a while, you will not collapse. This isn't disconnecting from the world. It's letting connection become a choice, not a necessity.
How can I tell if I'm not just avoiding people, but actually growing?
You can watch for 3 things. First, are you increasingly respecting your own feelings instead of dismissing them immediately? Second, are you starting to set boundaries for your time and energy without overextending yourself? Third, can you be alone without guilt or panic? If the answers slowly become yes, then you're not avoiding. You're putting down roots.
Hearing this, I suddenly feel like this period of loneliness might actually be necessary.
It truly is. Many people go through life without ever really meeting themselves because they're too quickly filled by relationships, roles, and expectations. What you're experiencing now is a time for your soul to grow its skeleton. It's not romantic and it's not easy, but it will make you stand firmly in the future. When you step into relationships again, it won't be clinging. It will be standing side by side.
If someone listening right now is going through this kind of loneliness, what would you want to say to them?
I'd want to tell them, you're not behind, and you haven't been abandoned. You're simply walking a path fewer people take. This path may seem quiet, even a little cold, but it will lead you to a self that doesn't need to please or pretend. Don't rush to prove your worth. Your existence alone already deserves respect.
I realize now that I don't dislike being alone as much.
That's because you're beginning to understand its meaning. When loneliness is no longer your enemy, it won't consume you. Instead, it becomes a reminder to return inward. Slowly, you'll notice that the moments which once hurt you the most quietly shaped your strongest core.
Thank you. I think I'll carry these words with me as I keep moving forward.
You absolutely can, and not because you've become stronger, but because you're finally willing to be gentle with yourself. If what you've heard touches you even a little, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who might be struggling through loneliness right now. Your life is still unfolding, your story isn't finished, and even in the darkest places, you've already grown your own light.